Hey, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Drew, aka Booty Sweat, and today I wanted to address a question that I've seen a lot of people asking recently, and that is, why are NetherRealm Studios fans so much scrubbier and whinier and more obnoxious than other fighting game fan bases? And so I see people say this all the time. I see people say the NRS fans, the NRS community is so toxic, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I just kind of want to address, like, what makes people say that, and why does it seem that way? So if that's a question that interests you as well, and you want to hang out for this discussion, then stick around and make sure you like and subscribe for all the MK content, and as well as the other fighting game content, etc. All right, let's get into it. So I think a lot of this question stems from the fact that, I mean, in like Kombat League and stuff like that, and online play, you will see a lot of people that kind of act disrespectfully during online play. And I just want to be the guy who says, hey, I play a lot of other fighting games online, and Mortal Kombat's not that much worse than other fighting games in general. But I think the reason probably why it is, I think it is a little worse in terms of getting like teabagged or, people screaming expletives at you over their microphone and stuff like that. I think it is a little worse. I think I do experience that more often on Mortal Kombat games than I do on others. But I think also you have to keep in mind that Mortal Kombat has such a larger audience than a lot of other fighting games. Other fighting games are usually a lot more niche than Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat sells millions and millions of copies. It makes Warner Brothers gazillions of dollars. Everyone likes Mortal Kombat. It gets movies, it gets cartoons, it gets all this different stuff. And I'm not saying no other fighting game has ever gotten those things, but I mean, Street Fighter is not getting this big, high budget HBO Max movie in 2021, right? It's not getting animated movies. Guilty Gear isn't getting some huge movie. All these other fighting games, they just don't blow up as much as Mortal Kombat does. And Mortal Kombat has that kind of mainstream appeal. So if you've ever played any other kind of game that has mainstream appeal, that's just how gamers are in general a lot of the time. It's not necessarily that all gamers are like that. This is not gamer bashing. I am a gamer and I'm not like that. But I think a lot of competitive people are, especially when you're talking about these kind of competitive games. You'll hear a lot of people yelling expletives and stuff at you if you're playing MOBAs, if you're playing FPS, if you're playing RTS, whatever it is, you're going to encounter people that will BM and that will, get really angry and be disrespectful and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's just kind of spilled over into Mortal Kombat because it is so mainstream. There are so many different kinds of people playing Mortal Kombat that aren't just hardcore fighting game fans. A lot of hardcore fighting game fans have this sense of like honor, of like you go into the match and you play the best you can, you learn what you can from what happened, and you kind of play, you're a little more respectful generally. That's not always the case. I can tell you, I play Street Fighter all the time and I get teabagged in Street Fighter. I get rage quit on all the time in Street Fighter. Rage quitting, in my opinion, is worse in Street Fighter V than it ever has been in MK11. And so it's not a problem that's exclusive to MK, and I don't know, I think even when you look at things like, people will point out some of the more prominent figures in the MK community and how dramatic they can be, how obnoxious they can be, that sort of thing. I won't call any names because I'm not trying to make any enemies. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, but what I do know is that I don't think that that's the case any more than it really is in any other competitive community or competitive fighting game community. I mean, I'm also a huge basketball fan, sports fan, and basketball players are like that, right? Sports fans are the worst. You can't even say what game, or you can't even say what team you're a fan of without worrying about if some hyper competitive fan of an opposing team is gonna come at you, right? And so it's really it's not any worse in my opinion with MK. I don't really know why there's this stigma of Mortal Kombat fans being so awful. And there are some scrubby things that MK fans will say, but guess what? There are scrubby things that Tekken fans will say. There are scrubby things that Street Fighter fans will say. So I don't know, I just kind of wanted to address this because I keep seeing it everywhere, right? Especially with what's going on right now with MK11 having no more supported content. you can't even complain about it. Like, even as somebody who loves the game, I love MK11. Genuinely, I really, really like it. I wouldn't have put hundreds of hours into it if I didn't like it. Look at a game like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. I didn't like that game, so I didn't freaking play it. I have like 30 hours in that game, and then I stopped playing it because I didn't like it. I've played MK11 for hundreds of hours, and even I can't, and I'm generally mostly positive about the game, even I can't bring up something that I think is a problem or whatever without getting called a whiner, without getting called, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I don't really know, again, I don't think that's a problem that's exclusive to MK, but I think there's like a stigma of like, even if you're a supporter of the game, if you think that something could be done better or something was done poorly, then, and you voice your opinion on that, you end up getting dragged down with like the same folks that made death threats against Ed Boon because Melina wasn't in the game, right? Somehow I end up getting grouped in with those people just because I said, hey, the communication has been horrible, and they're straight up lying about supporting this game for 2 years because they didn't do that. So, I don't know. It's all just really kind of weird. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think MK fans are whinier or more obnoxious than your average Joe community? I don't really think so, but if you do, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. Otherwise, you know, just hang out. We're going to have more content coming up. And make sure you like and subscribe. All right, that's going to be it. Have a good one. Be blessed.